Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Hunter and I am the Field CTO at NinjaOne. Today we are setting up an API server. An API server is just a dedicated device that interfaces with NinjaOne's API and the APIs of other services. As a prerequisite, you will need a device or virtual machine running a Windows operating system. This could be a physical device running Windows, a virtual machine on a hypervisor, or a virtual machine in the cloud. The critical factor is that no one should have access to it if they are not a NinjaOne system administrator. To get started in NinjaOne, let's go to the top right and create an organization. And I'm going to call mine API Server. Save the organization, and then we can navigate to Administration. Then Devices, and then Roles. We'll expand Windows Systems, and then hover over Windows Server and click the three dots on the right side. Select Add a Child Role. I am naming mine API Server, and I'm creating it under Windows Server because I happen to be using a server operating system, but you can also do the exact same thing under Windows desktops and laptops if you're using a Windows 11 operating system. On the left-hand side, I'm going to the next menu option down, which is Device Custom Fields. I'm going to create 3 new custom fields, and I'm using a secure field as the type for all of them. The first is NinjaOne Instance. Make sure to label it exactly as written on screen. NinjaOne will automatically convert the label into the camel case name, and calling the custom field requires the proper case sensitivity. Next, let's go to Permissions. Set automations to have read-only access, and set technicians to have editable access, so we can populate the field with data. The second custom field is also a secure field. And we'll label it NinjaOne Client ID. It uses the same permissions, read-only for automations, and editable for technicians. The third custom field is a secure field, and its label is NinjaOne Client Secret. We'll use the same permissions again, read-only for automations and editable by technicians. I'm now going to assign the custom fields to the device role I just created. Let's go back to the Roles menu, expand Windows Systems, then expand Windows Server, and select the 3 dots on the right side for API Server and click Edit. Click Manage Tabs in the top right and create a new tab. I'm calling mine API Credentials. Use the drop-down menu to move over to this new tab. Then search NinjaOne on the left side and add the 3 custom fields we just created. Once complete, save these changes. Let's go to the Policies menu and click Add Agent Policy in the top right. I'm naming mine API Server, and I'm selecting the Windows Server role because I created the child role under the Windows Server parent. Click Create. Once complete, go to Administration, Organizations, and select the API Server organization. Select Policies on the left, and find the row for API Server. Using the drop-down menu, select the API Server policy we created, and then click Save in the top right. I'm also going into Administration, Library, and then Automation, and then navigating to the Categories tab. I'm creating a new category for API Scripts. This is useful for organization, but it also allows me to deny access to view these scripts to non-system administrators. At this point, you can download the NinjaOne Agent installer for your API server organization and run it on your secure device or virtual machine. Go to the top right, add a device, and then select Computer. Select the API server organization or your equivalent. In the device role dropdown, select the API server device role we created earlier. Download the installer or copy the link to the installer and execute it on the device or virtual machine that is serving as your API server. Wait for the device to fully register to NinjaOne. Pause the video here until the device is responding. Once the device is fully connected, we'll need to create the API credentials. Open a new tab or window of NinjaOne. Go to Administration, Apps, then API. Select Add Client App in the top right. We're creating an API Services machine-to-machine client app. Name it and make sure it has both monitoring and management scopes. The grant type should be client credentials with nothing else selected. You can leave the redirect URI field empty. Click Add, and the client ID and secret will be available to be copied. Copy the client ID, then switch to your other NinjaOne tab or window that is on the API server device. Hover over the Custom tab and click on the API Credentials tab that was created earlier. Click on Edit in the top right and paste the client ID we copied into the proper field. Switch back to the API tab or window and copy the client secret and paste that into the proper custom field. Lastly, add in the regional instance of NinjaOne that you use. If you are in Canada, you're probably using the CA instance of NinjaOne, and in Europe, you're likely using the EU instance of NinjaOne. In the US, there are two, App and US2. If you're unsure of your instance, contact your account manager. You'll need to duplicate the custom field creation process for any other services that you want to interact with. For example, if you wanted to retrieve vulnerability information from a tool like Microsoft Defender or Tenable and import it into NinjaOne, you would need to create dedicated custom fields to hold the proper API credentials. The final step is to modify the permissions of your technicians to deny them access to both the device role and the organization for the API server, as well as the automation category where any scripts that interact with an API will reside. This ensures that the credentials can only be viewed by system administrators in NinjaOne. Let's go to Administration, Accounts, then Technician Roles. I'll use a level 1 tech role as an example, but you'll need to make this change to deny access to all technician roles, assuming you only want system administrators to be able to manage this process. In the Technician Role Editor, go to Organizations and make sure that API Server is set to No Access. Then go to Devices and find the API Server role and make sure it's set to No Access. Next, go to Policies and set the API Server policy to No Access. Finally, go to the Automation Library and find the API Scripts category and set it to, you guessed it, No Access. In the YouTube description, I've linked several scripts that use this type of workflow. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. Take care.